freaking first cut. Golly.
Welcome to the First Cut Podcast. I'm Rick Gehman, and this is your mega preview pod for this week's Tour Championship. It's storylines, it's best bets, it's the final one and done. Joining me to break it all down, Patrick McDonald is here. Patrick.
What's going on, guys? It is Super Bowl week for us, even though I believe Scottie Scheffler already debunked that. We have two irrelevant PGA Tour players going at each other on Twitter already, so it has the makings of a great week.
I didn't see that. I have not been on Twitter today. What happened?
We have the Brian Bros, former PGA
that.
Tour players, I guess now YouTubers, and then Chris Couch, who at first I thought it was Tim Couch, former Cleveland Brown quarterback, but Chris Couch in the Brian Bros going at it over the Creator Classic, which I have said I am boycotting.
Why?
None of us got an invite. You kidding me? KB has like what, 3 million Twitter followers at this point?
Close. It's a great point. I think that you should have an outlet, a representative from every major outlet. Maybe.
I guess Mark technically, but
I do think that's true. I do think it's funny. I was on a text thread that I asked if that was Tim Couch's brother.
Okay.
It could be. I don't know. I think it's hilarious. I'm pretty sure the Creator Classic is straight up and the PGA Tour event is handicapped this week, which is very amusing to me.
I actually also believe that is correct. That's Kyle Porter, by the way. Because these creators, some of them don't even have outlets, which I guess is kind of a good thing. You know who my wife loves? Golf with Amy. She learns how to swing golf club from Golf with Amy. She does.
Never heard of her. Is she popular?
At least in my wife's demographic, she is. Kyle Porter, Patrick McDonald, Greg DuCharme. Hello, Greg. It is good to see you.
Gentlemen. I have nothing to add to this conversation, but it's been very interesting listening to it. And I'm very excited for our conversation throughout the rest of the show. We'll see where it goes.
It could honestly go anywhere. Kyle, I think she does swing stuff, Amy, in both English and Korean. I just checked it out. She has some tips on more consistent driving. So maybe it is the channel for me. It might be. You might like her style. Anything else we want to get derailed with before I start this conversation, or are we?
Let me just highlight this bad comeback of the week by George Bryan, who said that he has a better made cut percentage than Chris Couch. His made cut percentage on the PGA Tour is 1-for-1. Chris Couch is a PGA Tour winner. So.
Also,
George is too nice to be talking trash on Twitter. He's like the nicest guy in the world.
Yeah, if you're gonna talk trash on Twitter, you better be nasty. The reason this all started, and Patrick, I think I might have cut you off on this. Chris Couch said that Wesley better win or it would be embarrassing, right? That was the idea. He's the PGA Tour pro playing against a bunch of creators.
Yes, that is correct. And Wesley said, well, I don't make any cuts and I barely practice. So, but I do side with Chris. Don't call me Tim Couch, though. He's a PGA Tour player playing against people who are not on the PGA Tour.
Hard to argue.
It had a little bit of the feel of stepping to the first tee with somebody who's like, I haven't played in like 4 months. I don't know. Who knows?
Such a sandbagger, right? Yeah, that guy's going
built-in
low.
excuse.
And you're like, yeah, I do think I know how it's going to go.
Little trivia here. Tim Couch was the first overall pick in the 1999 NFL draft. Do you know who went second overall that year? There's another quarterback.
Michael Vick.
Ooh. No. Was it? No, it's Akili Smith.
Oh, he was third.
3 quarterbacks in a row.
Joey Harrington.
No. Yes, it was 3 quarterbacks in a row. It was not Joey Harrington.
Who was the Penn State guy, Patrick?
It's not him.
It's not. What college?
What is it?
That's gonna give it away if I tell you the college.
What
What if I
Byron Leftwich, Donovan McNabb.
Donovan McNabb.
Oh,
Yeah. My Philadelphia Eagles.
Good second pick.
You know who I loved? You know who I loved? Edgerrin James. He went for the Edge.
Oh yeah,
a poster of the Edge.
He was awesome. How about me getting Akili Smith, but not Donovan McNabb?
Yeah,
that's
nuts.
And then Ricky Williams. Remember, Ricky Williams went 5th. Torrey Holt went 6th. Champ Bailey went 7th. So that
Champ Bailey was awesome.
Unbelievable top 7.
I think he had a brother. What was it? His brother's name was like
runner up.
Loser Bailey.
No, it wasn't. It was an even
Champ
better
loser.
Like all their families' names were awesome.
King Bailey.
Did you know that Boss Bailey?
Boss. Yeah.
Wow.
How sick is that?
Do you know George Foreman's kids' names?
Presumptuous.
It's like George the 4th, George the 5th, George the 6th, something. I don't know.
I'm pretty sure all of his sons are also just named George.
Yeah.
And his daughter is named Georgetta.
Sure. Why not?
That's like there's a guy on Rhode Island basketball. His name was Always Right.
Always Right.
Yeah, last name right, first name Always.
It's like God Sham God.
Oh, the best.
Like yeah, my name's God.
God Sham God. That also reminds me of the Sham Wow though.
I could do old drafts. I mean, you can't put enough time on the clock. I could do old drafts forever. Baseball, basketball, football, whatever you want to do.
All right. Well, we'll save that for the off season, which is coming very, very shortly. How about we talk about the Tour Championship and what will be most notable, Greg? What will be most obvious are the changes that were done to East Lake. We talked a little bit about this on yesterday's show, but Andrew Green has taken out every blade of grass around East Lake. And you pointed out, I didn't know this, not a single round of golf has been played here since last year's Tour Championship. We are getting a lot of content coming out about what those changes that were made. I think there's some interesting stuff, but give us kind of an overview of what people can expect.
First and foremost, this will be, if you're not overly familiar with East Lake, maybe if you're not paying attention to specific holes and the way they're designed, the thing you'll really notice this week is that it will be extremely firm. So you mentioned every blade of grass has been replaced. That's an important feature because when you have new grass, whether it's fairways or greens, you end up with extremely firm conditions. We saw this most recently at Quail Hollow this year. You remember how big those first bounces were. It's so interesting. Even if it's soggy, like if it's wet conditions, if it rains, the greens stay firm. So that's a really interesting aspect that will make this golf course a whole lot harder, regardless of the design features that have been put in. As far as the design features, they changed the surfaces of the grass. So you have Zoysia fairways and Tiff Eagle instead of mini birdie greens. Okay, and we all know what that means.
Mm-hmm.
You don't even have to say it, Greg. We already know.
Yep.
But the Zoysia fairways are, if it's dry, they should play a little faster in general. They already will because they're new. Tiff Eagle greens shouldn't make any difference compared to mini birdie. Should be very similar. So some of the holes were kind of recontoured the fairways to create more shape when the ball lands, which could be pretty cool. The trees, hundreds were removed, but Andrew Green really likes strategic trees, and they were kind of positioned to enhance some shot shaping and shot making. So that could be pretty cool to watch as well. But I think ultimately the biggest takeaway that you're going to see is, well, one, the holes look different, but most importantly, it's going to be extremely firm.
I like some of the changes that were made to the bookend holes, number 1 and number 18. Number 1 has been shortened, which KP, that's not
something that happens on the PGA Tour a lot, but they've put it in a position where they could conceivably move the tees up and have number one be drivable with water all the way down the left-hand side. And also they can now fit a bigger grandstand behind that green. And the idea was not only do you get a more scoring variance because there's more risk reward, but also some more good viewing spots for the Tour Championship.
Yeah, I'm into any drivable par four is awesome to me. Remember when they used to end this event on what is now 9? I think when Spieth won, when Horschel won, like until fairly recent, that was such a weird thing. It's like this and Greenbrier ended on a par 3, and you're like, that is. I'm glad they switched it. It's way better now. The par 5 18th. I think I'm not like the architecture nerd. I think 18 is kind of cool. I think it's like fun to watch, especially if it's close late, because you're like, I mean, 3's hard, but like you could make 6. It seems like there's a lot of numbers in play on that golf hole. So, yeah, I mean, I was reading, Scottie's comments and just on the changes, because I think he played it today before his press conference. I think he played all 18, maybe just 9, but it echoed a lot of what Greg was saying of, hey, the biggest changes are the green, like the way, like where you can put pins on greens and how firm they are. And I think that doesn't sound like a big deal to fans where you're like, oh, they can move the pin around. Cool. But to pros, it can change the entire complex of a hole. Right. And so I think the way that's going to affect this golf tournament is you've got some really sticky data on Eastlake where it's like Rory, Xander, JT, Hovland, I think were your top 4, Rick, in your newsletter this week in terms of like, okay, these are the guys that play this golf course very well. And now I don't know that you can throw that data out, but it's kind of like, maybe not. I don't know. I think it'll be really interesting to see how that affects specifically those 3 or 4 guys.
Quick correction. Josh points out to me the hole I was referring to is number 8. 8 is the hole that I was just describing. Patrick, 18 is where this golf course is going to end. And if you look at the 2 overhead shots of before and after, what you'll notice is the lake, I suppose, has been kind of reformed. It used to just kind of cut in at the end of the fairway there and get back out of the way. It's now been extended up the fairway, which even makes the layup more difficult now. And you have to think about it. Plus, the other thing is where the ball will come to rest in the fairway is likely now to be on a downslope instead of on a level lie. And if you remember 18, that's that approach shot, that long approach, it is back up the hill. So now you've got to get back up the hill from a downhill lie. If you miss the fairway in general, the layup ain't that great. So it should be a little bit more interesting on 18 as well.
There's a couple things about 18. One, they took that lake out of the driving range, which is a shame. It's no longer part of the driving range. And you heard Scottie Scheffler and Xander Schauffele talk today about possibly driving it down 10 instead. Because like you mentioned, that second shot is going to be on that downslope. Scottie said the only player he saw today hold the green with his second shot was Rory McIlroy, who hit it just on the front fringe, barely held it. So don't expect a lot of people to be making eagle on that final hole or holding the green and having an eagle opportunity. It's really turned it more into just like a 4. You're playing for 4, really. And so by going down 10, I think it takes away the big number, takes away kind of that water, because like you mentioned, that layup is a lot more difficult now if you choose to go over instead of, laying up short if you want to and have a full club that way. So I'm interested to see how many people do choose to go down 10, but from the sound of it, Xander, Burns, and Scheffler were all considering it.
Sounds like a Hovland move.
Yeah. It does sound like a Hovland move, doesn't it? Mm-hmm. I'm surprised they haven't thrown up an internal OB.
That's the Bryson.
We restored the course to how it used to be. We're just going to go down a different hole.
Yeah.
This is
Sorry.
This is how it was intended to play.
This is how Bobby Jones would have played it if he could drive it like me.
It's the golden age of architecture. Okay.
It's gonna look good. It looks really good. Obviously, I mean, it's literally a brand new golf course. It looks like it's in immaculate shape. What we're gonna do is we're gonna dive into the staggered start. We've got to get to our bets. We're gonna get to the one and done information. We're gonna continue this conversation after a quick word from our partners.
Saturday is big time on CBS. Number 2 Ohio State welcomes Akron into the Horseshoe. Then more college football in prime time with UCLA taking on Hawaii. Saturday on CBS and streaming on Paramount Plus.
And we're back. A quick update on the man who is going to start in third place at the Tour Championship, Greg. That is Hideki Matsuyama. Todd Lewis tweeted out earlier that after pulling out of the BMW Championship with a back issue, Hideki is prepping for the Tour Championship. According to the team, he's not 100%, but he intends to play this week. I think that if you say you're not 100%, you should have to give the percentage that you are.
Well, not 100% is a rather wide range.
Could be 99, could be 2.
Now, it reminds me of a scenario a couple fall seasons ago.
Zozo.
Where, that's right. Right on it. Hideki rated his game at a 1 out of 10 before winning the Zozo.
That's an all-timer.
I'll never forget that.
So I'm not really sure what to believe. I trust Todd Lewis, and I believe wholeheartedly that Hideki or Hideki's team told him that. What that means to me is nothing.
I agree.
What that means to me is nothing.
Now, Rick, I think you've also been really good on this through the year. We've had a lot of talks on this on Monday shows with Hideki and injuries and it worrying you. And your rule, it kind of reminds me of what a fantasy football analyst might say. If they're cleared to play, you play them. If they're cleared to play, they're cleared by me. So, I mean, how are you feeling about this?
First of all, I need Rick's power rankings of unreliable narrators.
Oh, Bryson 1, Hideki 2, Colin Morikawa 3, Brooks 4.
I didn't know it'd be this easy.
You thought
you had it in the chamber.
I think about this a lot.
In the next newsletter.
Yeah, I think about this quite a bit. Yeah, those are definitely the top 4. I could probably go on from there, but those are your definite just first ballot Hall of Famers.
Yeah.
This is Kyle. This is also like you don't like it when they say it's less than driver, right?
Oh yeah.
That only rules out one club.
It's like not being 100%.
Right. It only rules out 100%.
Who knows?
Is it a putter?
I don't like less than driver either.
Is he hitting a wedge?
Could be an 8-iron.
It's just less than driver.
Yeah.
And that comes from that. It's so easy to sell. It comes from, well, it's a fairway wood. I don't know if it's 3 wood or 5 wood because they look the same. So let's just say it's a fairway wood. Call it a metal wood for all I care.
Yeah, like you
call
do
it.
care.
Yeah, actually, we care quite a bit. The staggered start. We've talked about it a ton, but if you are coming out from under your rock for the first time, Scottie Scheffler is going to start at 10 under, Xander at 8, Hideki at 7, Keegan at 6, Ludwig at 5, and then 5 guys each at 4 under, 3 under, 2 under, 1 under, and even par the rest of the way. Kyle, how far back is too far back? Who is the last man who can win this tournament?
What do we have the graph? Do we have a graphic on this so I can just
I can get you a graphic.
Talk through it. I thought what you wrote in the Rick Run Good newsletter this week was, or I guess it was today, Tuesday, was very good. And I think it sort of laid out the scenario of like, I know it looks fun on paper, but the reality with Scottie and Xander at the top is like, unless they have historically bad weeks, nobody from 2 under, 3 under, maybe even 4 under is winning this golf tournament. I think you went as deep as Ludwig, but you threw out Keegan. So you said either Scottie, Xander, Hideki, Ludwig,
Or
did you
Rory.
say or Rory? So you went past Ludwig. So you went to Rory.
I kicked out Keegan and inserted Rory.
I think I would start by saying if you're 3 under or worse, no chance. Like you have 0 chance. I think the 4s are interesting because it's somebody in Rory who plays this golf course incredibly well. It's somebody in Cantlay who's pretty well rested. It's somebody in Morikawa who can get super hot. Same with Burns. I think there's some interesting names in there, but I think I would say 4 is the cutoff. And some of that is like we've never seen anybody come from further back than 4, but that's a pretty small sample size. It's only been 5 times or whatever. So I don't know that is necessarily what I'm going off of. It's more so like what you said of, hey, this is the baseline for Scottie. This is and these guys play to their baseline. It's not like Scottie and Xander are super volatile. Now, maybe you'll get one of them to be volatile in a single week, like Scottie last week, kind of a really bad week, but he still gained strokes to the field if you normalize like who the field was. And so to get both of them to play below their baseline in the same week with it's just not going to happen.
Yeah, you could have a scenario in which a guy has the tournament of his life. Robert McIntyre, who's going to start at 2 under par, has this best tournament of anybody all year long. Well, that might be great, but if any of Scottie, Xander, Hideki, or Keegan have like a pretty good tournament, they're still gonna win, or they're not
even pretty good, but just like
they're just not gonna let Robert McIntyre past.
Average for them.
Yeah, it's interesting, Patrick, because this is essentially like round 0 has already been played, and here are the scores, and now we're entering round 1, and maybe it's a good thing, right? I say only 5 guys can win. Obviously, whatever, anything is possible, but I think that's what they want, right? I mean, remember that was the old style anyway, is basically if you were in the top 5 of the FedEx Cup points, you controlled your own destiny, because if you won, you automatically had enough points to win the whole thing.
Yeah, and we've seen guys make runs before. I mean, just last year, Colin Morikawa went 61-64 after starting way off the pace. I think he was even par or 1 under potentially. I think he tied for the first round lead since Scottie didn't play too great. And so I think the difference this year is I think the golf course is going to play more difficult, which helps Scottie Scheffler, Xander Schauffele, and Hideki. Xander talked about today how it might be impossible for guys to hold greens with a wedge in hand from the rough.
Wow. I hope so.
With how firm those greens are, like Greg mentioned, I mean, it's not going to be for probably like a couple years till they get East Lake to the East Lake they want it to play like. And so with that in mind, you think, okay, well-rounded game, you got to put the ball in the fairway, potentially a major championship-esque test. Victor Hovland said if they really wanted to, they could make this golf course really, really difficult. It's far different from what he remembers last year. And so I agree with you where that's only going to help the guys who are already on top of the leaderboard. But you do mention those names at 4 under. And I think just because of who they are, you have to give them some sort of chance, right? Like if it was, say, Russell Henley at 4 under, I hate to throw him under the bus, or like Pavone at 4 under, right? It's a completely different story. But because it is Rory McIlroy, Colin Morikawa, Patrick Cantlay, and Sam Burns, I think you still have to give them some chance, but it's not great.
I think it'll feel like guys have a chance after the first or second round.
Yes, it's the illusion that anybody is live.
Yeah, and you're like, well, let's let Scottie Scheffler play 72 holes,
Right.
And so I just think that you got to let it. I mean, it's what we do after round 1 with our bets, with Mark blazing in on the group text, like, oh, I won them all. It's like, it's just 54 holes.
Well, this also reminds me of, and you've said this before, is like every Ryder Cup or President's Cup, there's a 15-minute window on Sunday.
Oh, yeah.
That it always feels like it's going to turn. And it's never really that close, right?
Yeah, you start playing out the odds, and you're like,
that's like on Thursday when Shane Lowry shoots, when he like sets the course record, he's still not going to win. Yeah. I promise you that. Greg, the other thing is, we've got Scottie Scheffler at 10 under par, not 1, not 2, but 3 years in a row. He has as many FedEx Cup titles as I do. If he does not win this one, what is our takeaway? Does he not win the Player of the Year? Doesn't matter if Xander wins it. Can he not close out the playoffs? Does it matter at all?
Yeah, I think it's pretty clear at this point that he can't win the big one, which I think that was Patrick's point.
Patrick's been all over that.
Yeah, good job, Patrick. He never passed the eye test, and he can't win the big one.
Buffalo Bills.
It is. It would be very disappointing to start 3 years in a row at 10 under and not win. Last year he didn't crack the top 5. That's disappointing. And this season would be even more disappointing because this has clearly been his best season. So I don't know if it's a problem where he can't win the big one or just a problem with Eastlake. Maybe the course changes are a good thing for him, but it would be very disappointing. And you'd probably feel like I'm not sure what I have to do to win the Tour Championship other than I got to play Eastlake a whole lot better. And that would hopefully be the conclusion that he comes to, because it's a difficult spot. And, it's a hard thing. It's a hard thing to look at and say, he's still going to win Player of the Year. Now, he won the Masters. He won the Players. He won the gold medal. And you could tell me that doesn't count, but everybody who's voting is going to count it. And he won 5 signature events.
I think if Xander wins this event, I think he'll win Player of the Year.
That's
too.
I'm not saying he should. I'm just saying I think he
like players are already saying they would rather have Xander Schauffele's year without this FedEx Cup.
Yeah, this is the problem. I agree that he should not, but the players vote. And I kind of think they would get to Xander here if he wins the FedEx Cup.
But, Adam Scott said something about this that was fascinating. He said, I would rather have Xander's year, but Scottie is the Player of the Year.
That's interesting. That is interesting.
It's the first person I've heard say that. Now, I don't know if other guys are thinking quite as deeply as sometimes I'm not sure if they really know what other guys did. They look up at leaderboards when they're playing and they say, oh, there's Schauffele and Scheffler again. But they don't really know what they're not looking at it the way we are, which is very interesting. So, but I have heard players talk a lot about consistency in the past, sometimes rating consistency over majors, over wins. Is that popularity? Is there an element of popularity in this? I still think Scheffler should win Player of the Year.
I will say it would be a little rubber the green if he doesn't win, considering he won last year during John Rahm.
Fair.
I'm not saying it's right, but.
And that was a little bit going the other way because Cantlay won it over Rahm the year before, and he shouldn't have. Was that it? Was it Cantlay and Rahm?
That was
in 21.
One of them was Rory and Rahm, right? Or no, that was Rory and Brooks.
That was Rory and Brooks. I think it was Cantlay and Rahm, and I think Cantlay won it.
I think you're right.
And it was like, wait a second, guys. It was the year. It was 21 when.
Yeah, he had to withdraw. He had to withdraw from the Memorial.
Yeah, and
Cantlay won,
and Rahm won the U.S. Open.
And then Cantlay won like the BMW Championship or something.
Yeah,
and the Tour Championship.
And then started that. Then he started at 10 under, right? Because he had all those extra points, and then he won.
Yeah,
and he clipped John Rahm by 1.
Yeah,
right.
And then
so really, the guy who should win the Player of the Year never wins the Player of the Year anyway.
Yeah. I guess so. Last year it was Hovland, I think Wyndham Clark, Scottie, and Victor, who were the finalists, right?
You had Victor twice.
Yeah, I think you called him Victor, and then you listed him as Hovland, I think.
Well, he had such a great year. Scottie, Hovland, Rory, Wyndham.
Wait, I don't even know who won it last year. Was it Victor?
It was Scottie.
Oh, okay.
But it was going to be Rahm.
Now, Scottie had a better season this year than Rahm did last year.
Are we just proving that none of this matters because we can't even remember who won these things?
Wait, why didn't Rahm win it last year?
Because
Well,
he
he
went to live.
Yeah, but he didn't go until December.
They handed it out.
I think they knew. I think they knew that he was going.
Yeah, that was a hanging Chad situation.
They did release some voter data, if I recall correctly. I'd have to dig that up. But between that and then, I mean, who could forget the runoff between Eric Cole and Ludwig? That's going to be one for the history books.
For sure.
Books will be written.
We're going to give out the bets. We are going to put the final one and done selections out there. $5 million to the winner of our one and done structure. But first, we're going to take a quick break and hear a word from our partners.
Yep, they're wrapping up the summer. And now we're looking forward to kicking it with superstars. Now that's CBS Sports Sunday. We'll see you on September 8th.
And we're back. The bets. Oh, the bets. It'll be nice to wipe this slate clean here in just a few days. If you have never seen this before, good for you. Matchup, $50, $30 on any finishing position that we want, and $10 each on two separate outrights. This week does offer a lot of possibilities because we've got finishing stroke or with starting strokes, without starting strokes. There's just a lot happening here. Josh, please release the grid. And I'm assuming, and gentlemen, correct me if I'm wrong, the way that you put these in the outline, unless noted, include the starting strokes.
I'm without them.
Okay. Of course.
I messed up.
So I was getting good, perfect head nods from Kyle and Greg and Patrick, who it did the opposite. Okay, that's fine. But so you're all of them, or just the outrights, or without your starting strokes?
Just the outrights.
Okay, that's fine. All right, as long as we know that, we can make that clear. All good. Okay, Patrick, give us your matchup here, and this does include starting strokes.
Okay, I went Aaron Rye plus 105 over Justin Thomas. I actually have a fun little Justin Thomas prop later in the show, kind of like the coin toss for the Super Bowl. A little nod to that. But I think you got to find fairways this week. I think that's going to be huge. Aaron Rye does that plenty. Iron play is great outside of the BMW Championship. I think that's a wash. And so I think Aaron Rye could be a better player than Justin Thomas as of late. So plus 105, I will take that.
Wow. Plus money on the better player. Can't pass that up. Greg, you are rolling with a Canadian.
Yes. Second week in a row. I am going with Taylor Pendrith over Sepp Straka. They're both starting at 1 under par. So with or without starting strokes, doesn't make a difference here. I think Taylor Pendrith is playing better. I like Sepp Straka's course history, course fit, perhaps a little bit better. I'm going with the recent form, and I'm going with the number, which we desperately need to hit some plus money bets here. So I was looking, it had to be plus money. I found this one that I liked. I'm going with Pendrith back-to-back weeks.
Pendrith over Straka plus 120. I went Sung Jae Im, even money over Tony Finau. Sung Jae's been great. He keeps it in the fairway. He hits greens. He makes a ton of putts, and he plays well at Eastlake. KP, you can round this out here with your matchup, please. What'd you get?
Yeah, it's the end of my can't lay trifecta. I picked him in the matchup each of the playoff events now. The Burns was smoke and mirrors last week with the putter. I think Cantlay just plays more solid golf is playing more solid golf than Burns right now. So I'm taking him this week.
Greg and I on Monday were saying, okay, this Patrick Cantlay thing's been brewing for a while now. I think it's coming. Well, it's kind of like
better
last chance. If it's not coming now, it's not coming. That's Cantlay minus 130 over Sam Burns. Finishing positions. Any ones that we want, we've got 1 top 5, 2 top 10s, and a top 20. KP, I'll bounce it right back to you, please.
Yeah, Big Tone top 10. He's got 3 consecutive like top 16s, top 17, something like that. And he's playing good golf. So I like the number at plus 180. He's starting at, you might have to help me here, Rig, -2, I think, -3. So he's not at the bottom of that 30. So yeah, I like him to climb into the top 10.
He is starting at, of course I closed the thing, -3. Yeah.
-3. Okay.
3 under par. That is Tony Finau to finish inside the top 10. Patrick, please.
I went with Russell Henley. You got to rely on your best players this time of the season, guys who you can trust in the playoffs. That's Russell Henley for me, top 10, plus 190. He starts at -2, so a couple outside the top 10 currently. But like I mentioned with Ryan, I'm looking for guys who can put the ball in play, good all-around games, and that's Henley for me.
Yeah, so this is he's starting at 2 under. The 3 unders are in a tie for 11th. So there's 5 guys tied there. Obviously, that's how it works. So just outside the top 10. Ludwig Åberg starts in solo 5th and is plus 150 to finish inside the top 5, which I thought was a little bit bizarre. So basically to hold his position or improve it at plus 150. So I could not pass up that opportunity. And Greg, you get to round us out here with your finishing position, please.
Yes, this is a top 20 in a 30-man field. That is Chris Kirk at plus 125. He's got to beat 10 guys, and we're good to go. I think this kind of golf could really suit Chris Kirk well. You're going to have to plod along. I don't think you're going to be able to get overly aggressive, kind of make birdies on command. I think Chris Kirk, who's coming in refreshed, took a lot of time off before the playoffs. I think he's going to come ready and rearing to go. And it's some good, solid golf. Should get him past 10 guys.
Ludwig, top 5. Tony, top 10. Henley, top 10. Chris Kirk, top 20. Now the outrights, we will clarify whether these are with or without starting strokes. And believe it or not, in a 30-man field, we have 8 different selections here across the board, which I did not necessarily see coming. Why don't we start with Greg? Let's get your 2 outrights here, please.
Yes. Traditionally, with Scottie Scheffler in the field, I put him in for one of the spots. He's actually minus money this week, if that's how you say that. So I didn't go there. We need to make a move. This is the last chance we have. I'm hoping to hit on Hideki Matsuyama at 12-1 and Wyndham Clark at 40-1. I mentioned you couldn't be overly aggressive and, force birdies. I think you're going to have to do it with the putter. And Wyndham Clark's one of those guys that I think can do it with the putter. Can make a lot of noise with the putter. Hideki is at 7 under. So I think he is live just because of his starting position and the way he played before his injury.
That is Hideki 12-1, Wyndham Clark 40-1. Kyle, let's get your selections, please.
Yeah, I've got Xander, who I think is actually going to win the golf tournament. And then I've got Ludwig, who I think, like you said, is one of 5 guys who can do it. So if you think it's Xander, Scottie, Hideki, Rory, Ludwig, then Ludwig at 20 is a good number. And then I just think Xander's going to win. So that's kind of why I picked those 2 guys.
The Xander number is plus 230. So the way that I did it was Rory at 16-1 with the stroke. So he is, in my opinion, the farthest back that could actually win. I just am ready for him to dismantle Eastlake in whatever condition that it's in. And anytime you get him at 16-1 and he is still mathematically very live, I will take that in a 30-man field. And then I went with Tommy Fleetwood 20-1 without the strokes.
So you could win. You could have a perfect board.
Thank you. Yes. This is the opportunity for the perfect board. So Tommy starts at 1 under. I don't know. Seems like he should just go nuts and take on every flag and see how deep he can go. And oh, by the way, when he falls short of another, PGA title, he'll have this bet locked up for me as well. It would be very Tommy-esque of him to win this without strokes at 20-1. Patrick, your two wagers are both without the strokes. So everybody starts at even.
Yeah, I can't believe I botched a potential perfect grid here. But I went Tony Finau, best driving week last week since Augusta National. Iron play is red hot, so him at 30-1. And then Billy Horschel, 33-1 as well, playing great golf. Still has a little bit to play for with the President's Cup, and I think he gives it a good run this week.
Those are 30-1 for Finau, Billy Horschel 33-1. Now the bonus bets. This is an extra $50 on anything in the whole world that we want. There are some very interesting little nuggets in here. Greg, we're going to start with you. Your bonus bet, please.
My bonus bet is I think, rather interesting one. Patrick was right on the button here. It's Billy Horschel top 10, including the starting strokes, and it's at plus 340. I love the way Billy Horschel has played. I think his brand of golf will play really well here, and I think he's going to make a big charge.
Starts at 1 under, and Billy Horschel is plus 340 to finish inside the top 10. I took Xander to lead after round 1, plus 280. That 2-shot lead, we see this every year. That 2-shot lead is going to be gone on the 4th hole. I don't know what's going to happen after that, but that lead will be gone. He's got Scottie to look right in the eyes. He's playing the best golf right now. Xander will be your overnight leader on Thursday night when we do the podcast. KP, you have paired together a couple of big boys here. So this is requiring both of them to finish in that position?
That's correct. I've got Xander and Rory to finish in the top 5. They both start in the top 6, I think. Rory's T6.
Yes.
And Xander's second. This is, I mean, the only problem with this bet is we don't know how the course is going to play, but these are the two guys that just dominate this golf course. They're so much better than everybody else at this golf course, and they're getting strokes on most of the field. At least Xander is, and Rory is getting strokes on all but 5 players. Well, I guess 8 players, 9 players. So yeah, I think they'll both finish in the top 5 at plus 180.
You know, the other thing that the angle we didn't really look at it at, and just kind of the opposite, is how far could Xander or Scottie conceivably fall? Right? You know what I mean? Like these guys, like even if they just played okay, it's not like they're going to fall to T21. Right. You know what I mean?
Well, what
so
did they finish last year? That's probably the floor.
T6, I think.
6th? Yeah.
I mean, with this golf course, if it's as difficult as it sounds, even par might win. You know, this could get really difficult. So 2 or 3 under for Scottie and Xander could go a long way.
Yeah. The last one, we got everybody else, right? Okay, Patrick. So your best bet, your bonus bet, will be decided very, very early in the week. Like we're gonna have a resolution, like you said, almost like a coin toss.
Yes, this is the Super Bowl. I thought maybe you throw Scottie in here because he's carried me so far to that 10% return. But then I saw this little prop bet. He's the first man off with Christian Bezuidenhout on Thursday, 11-16. Tune in for Justin Thomas to make a bogey on his opening hole in round 1 at plus 255. Longer hole, more difficult. Victor Hovland said he hit a couple clubs longer in to that green than he's used to. And it's always played as one of the more difficult holes at East Lake. So JT, there's a lot of ways here, right? Wow, drive, maybe a 3-putt. to make a bogey on his first hole, plus 255. I love it.
The only wager that could conceivably get resolved before this would be like a Justin Thomas to hit the fairway bet. Like other than that, this is like the earliest thing you can get. Justin Thomas to bogey or worse. Hole number 1. He is in the very first group out on Thursday morning, 8:16. Oh gosh, is that my time or that is my time? So 11:16 Eastern.
Yes,
I will say there's a comment. Patrick Lau in the chat says first hole is a par 5 now. Ha, 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 ha. Patrick Lau, no, it is not. I have the official scorecard in front of me. So ha,
First
ha,
off,
ha.
Also, Patrick, congratulations. You finished the best bets in the black this year.
Greg, thank you. And I'd like to think you're going to join me.
It's mathematically possible.
Yes, I believe.
all right. Well, are you guys done patting each other on the back just yet?
You got anything
Hashtag
else,
good
Patrick?
picks. A lot of good picks. I actually do have one more thing. I do have the voter data in front of me. I apologize to Legion 13 captain John Rahm. He was a nominee, but the voting period was December 1st through the 15th. Scheffler received 38% of the vote. For Rookie of the Year, Eric Cole received 51%.
Oh,
There's your hanging
every vote matters. Every shot matters. Everything matters.
Exactly.
Did you see this world feed news, Rick?
No, but you have my full attention.
Sounds kind of like less than driver. Anything could come out of this.
Did you see this, Patrick?
I did. I believe it's only for our international friends.
Oh,
Hold on. What I have a VPN. What do I need to do? How do I need to become in? What do they have access to the world feed?
it is. I don't know. It's convoluted. World feed. This is from. This is a PGA Tour press release. International viewers to benefit from more access than ever with international commentary teams, customized graphics, dedicated coverage of international players. Okay, it's not what I thought. Never mind. I'm an idiot.
So it's just an international focused feed.
Yeah, it's not like the world feed from the Open. That's what I was thinking it was.
How many, closest without going over, how many international players are in this field? I have to count them real quick. So, Greg, you have to guess first.
This would be international, like President's Cup international, non-Europeans or just non-Americans. 9.
I think it's like 15.
Patrick?
Go say 13.
The answer, 15. Yes, Kyle, right on the button. 50% of the field. 50% of the field is from outside the United States. 50% is from the United States. We need a runoff for that now. So who's going to win? U.S. versus the internationals. Can we get odds on that?
Well, you'd get long odds on the internationals.
Yeah, because like 8 of the top 10 are from America.
Yeah, and the top 2.
Yeah. USA. Oh, Patrick has to go. I forgot. Sorry, Patrick. I got very distracted. You have 2 minutes.
You're good.
Just tell us who your one and done pick is.
It's Rory McIlroy. I'm playing defense this week, just not trying to get last somehow since Greg locked it up. Greg, I mean, great season, man. Just you should be really proud of yourself.
Are you guys on each other? Are you on the payroll? What's the deal? Are you on Greg's payroll right now?
I mean, the trophy, the trivia, now the one and done. I mean, it's a good time to be a DuCharme.
It is.
And I'm gonna exit on that point. It's been a great year, guys. I've enjoyed it. I don't know when I'm gonna see you guys next.
Like in 2 days.
Where are you going?
Hopefully down the road. I'm going. I have a show at 6 also that I have to jump on.
No,
I am going to Canada this weekend though.
You go to Canada a lot.
You do go to Canada a lot.
Well, we're going door to door. The Henley campaign has wrapped up. We're pretty secure about a position. Now we're behind the Horschel Bradley duo. Sleepy Jor has exited stage left. Maybe Crooked Thomas. They're trying to install him now, and we're not having it. We're a grassroots campaign.
Can you imagine?
And we're getting Bradley and Horschel in there.
Dude, Horschel's going to be a vice captain. Horschel's going to be a vice captain at Bethpage.
He better be.
Patrick McDonald is available at P McDonald CBS. Thank you for your service. We will catch up with you, I'm sure, in like the next 2 days. Goodbye. Good luck. Good riddance. Get him out of here. He does go to Canada a lot. What's he? There's something fishy about what he's doing up there.
Like a little like an A-Rod move.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't think A-Rod went to Canada.
The cream in the clear. He's doing a little Balco situation.
Might be enhancing his words per minute typing.
He's typing fingers. Yeah, I know.
Did you ever do Mavis Beacon teach us typing?
No, but I am aware of it.
Yeah, I think we talked about this.
You know what I did do is I learned how to read using Hooked on Phonics. Remember that?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you remember? Do you remember the commercials? Hooked on Phonics worked for me.
Yeah.
Hooked on Phonics did work for me.
Was that your voice?
No, that'd be sick. I'd probably get awesome residuals off of that. But no. Yeah, that's how I learned to read.
Huh.
Cassette tapes, Hooked on Phonics. They came in a little leather box.
Good for you.
Thank you.
I knowing how to read.
Mavis Beacon teaches typing came out in 1987.
Oh man, we're old. Does it still exist? I mean, they still have to teach kids how to type.
I don't. The series in 1999, the series had sold over 6 million copies. 2002 products from the franchise were on the top-selling educational software list. Yeah, I don't know. There's a documentary titled "Seeking Mavis Beacon."
Mavis Beacon is probably now like just an AI voice. You say, "Hey Mavis, how do I type this?" and she types it for you.
Yeah.
All right. $9 million, Kyle. You were stuck in a pickle. You said, am I trying to beat Mark or am I trying not to finish in last? What are my objectives? What are my goals? What did you settle on?
Yeah, it's a sticky pickle for sure. My choices were Rory and Keegan. That was really all the only guys I had to choose from that were reasonable. And I just went with Rory. I just went chalk. I just don't want to finish last. I'm trying to get 800K to pass you, Rick.
Yeah, no, that's fair. And it's probably going to work because I had to go with Adam Scott. He was it was either Adam Scott at 3 under or Tommy Fleetwood at 1 under. Those were my Fleetwood. I really kind of thought about it because I saw how Adam Scott putts, but then I thought, well, I don't know. He's still kind of in the mix for a while. And
your off-camera commentary on Adam Scott's putting is
so I just, I went for it. So I'm just trying to fend you off. That's all. Mark, of course, we could have wrote this down 10 years ago, went with Rory McIlroy. Josh did get Keegan, the only person with Keegan. Patrick already told us that he went with Rory. And then Greg, you are still very live for the overall prize here. Cody 6 has a $3.1 million lead on you. And a reminder, the winner, for our purposes, is getting $5 million. So who did you pick?
I had some decent options. And I had Hideki Matsuyama. I'm hoping for Zozo Part 2. Not 100%. I need a win. So I went with Hideki Matsuyama. My other option that was decent was Wyndham Clark, who I really thought about. Both of those guys, there are some of the people ahead of me who have them available. Kind of a mixed bag. I didn't think there was an advantage either way. So I took the starting strokes. And Hideki's game, I think, has been legitimately good. So I'm rolling with it.
Wow. You are, to quote Mark, you're going to have a pretty tight sphincter this week with Hideki.
Maybe that's why Hideki's
draws before it starts.
No, he is not afraid to withdraw. He might be leading on Thursday night and just be like, I'm done here.
Yeah. But what can you do? And we had a good year. I achieved my goal.
He's already giving the concession speech.
Yeah. I mean, what are we going to do at that point? Would you have done that? Serious question. Would you have taken Hideki or would you have taken Wyndham Clark?
I would have taken Hideki. And I just would have. Yeah, no, you did the right thing.
I think so.
He's better. He's got a 3-shot lead.
And you can't believe a word he says. So he's fine.
Yes. And also all the money's at the top. Like
Right.
all the money's at the top, right? It's 25 to first, I think 12.5 to second, and then like sixth or something. I don't know. It might not be that big, but all the money's at the top.
Fall offs.
Yeah.
Right, because 30th is 550,000.
Yeah. So you did the right thing. It's just gonna be scary. That's all.
Yeah. Well, fear not.
For those who are just listening, Cody 6 leads the way, 22.9 in the overall. For us, Greg is at 19.8. He's going with Hideki. Patrick's at 14 million. Rory McIlroy. Josh is at 12.5. Keegan Bradley. Mark 10.3. Rory McIlroy. Rick 9.8. Adam Scott. Kyle 9 million. Rory McIlroy. That concludes my outline, gentlemen. Any final thoughts before we get out of here?
I'm looking forward to it. Should be a fun week. And then it's all open sales for the off season ahead of us.
Open sales.
Yeah, open seas. I don't know. Open water. What? The world is our oyster.
Yeah, any of there you go. Yeah. Yeah, it's
been a long year.
It has been a long year. It should be a fun week. I hope it's honestly like I really do like we've been joking. I think it'd be hilarious if Ludwig won without winning an OWGR event, but I think ultimately it'd be very cool if it came down to Xander and Scottie to win this tournament. I think that would be awesome.
I think it would be awesome. I think it would be very deserving, and I think we deserve it, quite honestly. So I'd like to watch it. How about a playoff?
Playoffs.
Little Xander. Is it a tour? Is the tour championship a sudden death? It's got to be sudden death, right?
18 on Monday.
Yeah.
I don't need that. I don't need all that.
I did learn something today. I went and looked up. So y'all saw how Rory broke his club on Sunday?
Yes.
Driver. He
leaned
snapped
on
it.
it. Yeah.
So you can, they were talking about this on the broadcast. I went and looked it up. You can replace it if it wasn't done out of abuse. That's literally what the rule says.
He absolutely did it on purpose, right?
I think so. It wasn't like anger, but it also was like kind of anger.
It was abusive.
However, it was abusive. However, the thing that I learned, I did not know this. You can play. He could play with that driver if it's messed up and non-conforming for the rest of the round. But if it goes to a playoff, he can't play with it because it's a new round.
It's a new round.
That's insane.
So is there a way to intentionally abuse your club to make it non-conforming to your advantage?
I was thinking about that. I don't think so.
Rory is too smart. He knows that if you lean on your club that way, it's going to snap.
Yeah. Yes. But it's such an ambiguous. It's so weird because you're like, well, who determines like what is it? Anger is subjective.
See, I thought it was in the normal course of play. Like if you hit a tree, I didn't think it was things that you did while picking up the tee.
What do you mean?
So I thought you could replace the club if you damaged it in the normal course of play, meaning you took a swing and your follow through hit a tree and it snapped, you could replace that, but you couldn't replace it if you snapped it over your knee.
Okay. So it says if a this is what the rule like literally says. If a conforming club is damaged during a round or while play is stopped under rule 5.7a, except in cases of abuse, the player may repair it or replace it with another club.
So, Rick, that is essentially what you're talking about.
Right. But what about this? I go to hand it to my caddy. He drops it on the cart path and it snaps. Not abuse.
Not abuse. Replaceable.
But also not in the normal course of that. Okay. So that's
you can
still replaceable.
The way that I interpret that, you can replace it.
Well, what if a fan steps on your club and snaps the shaft?
Oh yeah, well, fan runs out and snaps it over their knee.
Yeah, a dog runs on the golf course and steals your putter.
I would love to see that.
It would be something.
Or okay, so by not replacing it, Rory is admitting either he doesn't know the rule, or it was intentional.
It was abusive.
It was abusive.
That's a funny way to put it. Rory's admitted abuse.
That should be my. I wrote about this in the Normal Sport newsletter. That should be my headline. No, it shouldn't. That would not be fair. There's an amendment to this rule. It says a player is allowed to keep using and or to repair any club damage during the round, no matter what the damage, and even if the player damaged it in anger. A player is not allowed to replace a damaged club except when it is damaged during the round by an outside influence or natural forces, or by someone other than the player or his or her caddy.
So conceivably, Rory could have snapped it over his knee, taped it back together, and used it.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if you can use tape, but yeah. Yes.
The word repair is pretty, like, how can I repair it?
There's 9 other rules involving like tape.
Yeah. Remember when Hideki had whiteout on his club face?
Yeah.
What was he thinking?
I don't know. That was weird. Hideki does weird stuff though.
I would watch. I need to know how much is lost in translation. How much is like, I need like a 300-part documentary on him. He's so fascinating to me.
I think what you have to do is get hooked on phonics and learn Japanese with it.
Oh,
what a pull.
I could get a Rosetta Stone sponsorship.
A Rosetta Stone, yes. Learn Japanese and you'll know what's lost in translation and what's not.
Oh, that would be sick.
Rick, that's your off-season plan. Learn Japanese.
I've got
to study Hideki Matsuyama.
Yeah.
How long do you think it would take me to learn Japanese? If I was like, okay, I'm going to learn Japanese. How long do you think it would take me?
5 years.
Wow.
I don't know. Well, I mean, like, no, not 5 years. Because you could. Well, you don't have.
You got to like go to Japan. You got to go, like, immerse yourself in it.
I would never encounter it. It would just be like straight book Japanese, right? Which is, is going to be
takes
different.
way longer that way.
Yeah,
that's what they all say.
I would definitely have to get access to like Japanese television. I think that would help.
You could use that VPN, World Feed
into Tokyo, and I'm sure there's a ton of stuff on, like I bet you there's a ton of Japanese game shows on YouTube.
Yeah, for sure. What if Rick learns Japanese and just becomes part of the Hideki media contingent? Like he's just following Hideki around.
That'd be so awesome.
And you're just yelling Japanese at Hideki.
I would get such a kick out of like asking him questions.
That'd be a lot of work for that little bit.
Be a great bit though.
It would.
But plus I'd also like better myself and learn a foreign language.
That's supposed to be good for you. Hisetune you could follow as well.
That's right. I could just, be the Japanese
correspondent
to America correspondent.
Yuka Sasso.
I like where this is going.
Your life mission, nothing lost in translation.
Yeah. And then you go to Tokyo and just eat and check it out. I really want to go to Japan. I think it'd be awesome.
Yeah, I think I would never come back. That would be so
very cool.
Okay, well, I'll look into it. I doubt it happens, but I'll look into it. Big thanks to producer Josh, does all the hard work behind the scenes. We are back on Thursday after the round. And then there is a Friday network show, round by round recaps, Friday, Saturday, Sunday as well. Big thanks to Josh. Big thanks to Greg DuCharme at The Real GFD. Big thanks to Kyle Porter at Kyle Porter CBS. And you can find me at Rick Run Good. This has been The First Cut. We'll catch you next time.